Now, Brian, we've got this bloke back, and I'm pleased to see it is almost midnight in Nashville. Bradley Charles Stubbs, a.k.a. the Coach Whisperer, a.k.a. the winner in life, Brian. Welcome back to the Run Home with Joel and Fletch. Bradley, how are you?
I trust you're having a great day and you enjoyed Vegas.
I enjoyed Vegas immensely. I know you were there. Can I ask before we get into Vegas, what are you doing in Nashville?
Well, we actually flew over here to meet our son, who's just moved over here to compete in the World Long Drive Tour. He'll be here for 7 months, so he came over here to meet his girlfriend, and then we decided we go to Vegas, and then we're over here at the moment just talking to some people. And yeah, we've had one meeting which has been extremely successful. So, we're looking to come to America. Look, unless you've made it in America, you really haven't had it. You really haven't made it. And what we found with the American people is they only care about winners. So, in Australia, you've got a lot of people that are copy and paste and plagiarise, and they actually tell lots of great stories, but they actually haven't got the results. But in America, they just love people that have got results. So it's been very refreshing to the soul to meet people. I don't do interviews. Thank you for letting me come on, because I really pick and choose. I don't do many interviews whatsoever. I've done one TV interview in 10 years. But, I like you guys. I like Fletch. He's a surfer. So I just got to get out there in the wave pool with him when we have that competition, when the wave pool opens in Sydney. Me and Jagger Phillips against Fletcher and Heine. Are we on, Brian?
Well, it's not fair. You can surf, and
yeah, but I'm 50 years older than you.
No, Bradley, how old are you? How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
I reckon you're 61.
Close.
Okay. Well, I'm 50 this year, so we're pretty close. Hey,
Bradley, I'm 62, but I actually feel like I'm 21. Mentally, I'm just, I've got things happening everywhere.
Bradley, are we allowed to talk about that? Did you have a meeting with a sporting team or an individual? I know you can't really talk about that, but what was it?
Well, I'm just waiting for an agreement to come through at the moment from a international coach to help him win a World Cup.
Oh.
First meeting, they want to do the medical stuff with what I do, which you'll find out in my new book, which I have a worldwide exclusive with Adrian Pasanko coming out on the 17th in Sydney. Then we got media in the UK, Europe, and I'm just working on USA now. So, yeah, and then it's funny because last night we got a WhatsApp message from one of the big bosses from one of the biggest sporting clubs in the world. So at 3:00, and we were just texting back. We're just actually waiting for a confirmation with his time to have a meeting with him on Zoom. That's one of the top 100 clubs probably less than top 100 clubs in the world. And we haven't even done any media yet. So the response that we've had over here with what we're doing, my wife and I talked about maybe not even doing the interview with Adrian, but I gave him my word that I'd do it because, over here, people, what we found is people around the world just look at results. And with my new book that the release will happen on the 17th of March through Adrian, the Sunday Herald, there's lots of stories of teaching and teaching and just stories about what I've done over the last 45 years that people have never heard. My kids haven't even heard these stories, but it'll be very exciting because in the book, look, I'm just a normal guy. We're just a normal family. I don't go out much. I just spend time getting results with people. And for the last 45 years, I've just documented everything. Everything's completely documented with times, names, and everything like that. It'll be a very fascinating read for the world because they'll see that there is actually a different way to think. And like I said, what I found is with the bigger players in the world, they only care about results. That's all they care about.
Right.
I'll tell you what, just before we move on, gentlemen, you mentioned the World Long Drive, and I see Matt Stubbs. Is it Matt, your young bloke, Bradley?
Yeah, Matthew.
He's on the world
just
stage.
moved over here.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
the
well,
long
he
drive?
competed his first.
What is it?
Sorry?
What is it, Bradley? What's a long drive?
Okay, so you got 2.5 minutes to hit 6 balls in a grid between 40 and 60 metres, and they have 5 rounds, 5 heats in each round, and then you might start with a round. Well, it's around 16. The top 8 goes through and go to the next one. He's just been invited, selected the top 32 in the world. First year is on the circuit. He actually broke a bone in his wrist, and the last heat in the first round, he couldn't even hold the club, and he only had to get first, second, or third, and he would have got through the next round, but he actually couldn't even hold the club. But he ended up 37th in the world for the first year, and he's just moved to the States for 7 months, and he'll be competing on the World Long Drive. It'd be interesting. You should get him on one day. He's very methodical, but he knows all the numbers. He's done 450 yards.
Wow.
Is his best hit in a competition.
Wow. Now, Bradley, let's just go back to Vegas. Thanks for clearing that up. You were there. How do you rate it overall? Is it what you expected we see?
I actually think it was bigger.
Yep.
You got to give credit to Peter and Andrew because the vision they had. I've never been to an event that all different clubs from all over, because all clubs were there.
Yep.
And everyone was just happy. There wasn't this, when you go to a game, they're playing another team, the other team wants to, get in your face and all that stuff. What they've done, we went to a function with David Newey with the US Tomahawk. So the guys that originally started rugby league in Australia, in the US. And I was talking to David Newey, and I gave him Peter Volanish's number. And I said to him, you need to ring up Peter. I said, Peter is a guy that looks at a vision. And I said, look, just ring him up. Just get a 5-year deal for $20 million a year and be the guy on the ground, because he's done so much work over there. They need people on the ground. And the other thing, I look and I go, if they had a magic round there, just have a Friday game, a Sunday game, and a Thursday game, and they gave one day for all the supporters to recover because they were out. Vegas never sleeps. The ratings would be unbelievable. And I think what Peter's done and Andrew is just unbelievable. I think what he needs to look at now is what's the price for a team and decide on how many teams and when it's going to launch. Because, look, we know people that would be interested in that stuff, but nobody knows a figure at the moment.
Bradley, you've had some success, not just in rugby league and other sports. I want to ask you 2 questions. First question being, which coach do you feel as though your ways have had the biggest influence on? And the second question would be, is there a coach who maybe you don't know right now, who you go, by listening to them in the media perhaps, or watching their style of play, whatever the case may be, is that in your heart, I could help that person out in a major way right now?
Well, it's funny because with Michael Maguire and Michael Checker, I only used 20% of my programs. The most I used in my programs was with Trent Robinson and Graham Arnold. I used 35 to 45% of my programs. I've never been allowed to actually do everything I do. It's fascinating because all the coaches I still keep in touch with, and sometimes I send them little 1%. Like last year, I saw a 1%. I think the Broncos lost 3 out of 4 or 5 games. Do you remember that little sort of hiccup during the year?
Yep.
With the Broncos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
so I just sent him a little 1%er, and he just sent me.
What's a 1%er, Bradley? What's a 1%er? When you just for our listeners, when you say you're sending.
Okay, so everything I do is based on physics. Everything's got energy, and it's actually seeing all the energy from the players and staff going all in one direction. So I saw a little 1%, and he sent me a text back, and he said, because he calls me Mad Brad. Is that all you got, Mad Brad? So I tried to ring him, then he rang me back, and he was telling me he was doing something. So I told him, no, do not do that. do this. I taught you this before. Anyway, the rest is history. It's like when New Zealand with Michael Maguire was playing Australia. I saw a little 1% from the game they played before. So I rung him and he said, I'm in a meeting with all my stuff. Is everything okay? I said, yeah, it's great. I just thought I'd give you a couple of 1% to win this weekend, which he called me from New Zealand. And I gave him a couple of 1%. And New Zealand beat Australia, the biggest scorer in history. Just little 1%. You can just see the energy from the subconscious mind of certain things, and they just need to tighten it up and get it all going in one direction, because sometimes I just see little things where all the energy of the team's going a certain direction, but a little 1%, you're actually losing energy over here on the right, which should be working with the team. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Hey, Bradley, is there a coach in the NRL currently that you would like to work with? And do you see someone do you think, for example, Ivan Cleary? Ivan Cleary's 3 in a row, going for 4 in a row. What do you think he's doing differently to everyone else?
Well, it's funny because I know he's very good friends with Graham Arnold, because Graham used to do some kicking stuff with him. And it's funny because I had a player from another team that left the Panthers, and he rung up and done a session with me this year. And I said to him, this is what Ivan's doing. And he said, have you been to training to watch? I said, no, but I can just see it. The funny thing is, I can see what Ivan's doing, but nobody's caught on.
What is it?
And you sort of look and go,
what is it, Bradley?
They all watch.
Bradley, release the hounds. What's he doing?
Well, if you look at physics, he's got all the energy going in one direction. If you look at the grand final, he got criticised for not being a Hollywood rock star and doing press. He was more focused on the 1% of training. And Kevy done all this Hollywood rock star press before it. But there's things that he's doing every week that if you look at the physics, everything's energy. You can see the energy all going. There's no leaks.
Okay.
And that's, when I done that session with that ex-player that left, I told him this is what he's doing. And he said, have you been to training to watch? I said, no, you can see it. See, energy's everywhere. And I've been doing this for over 45 years, so I see things. Like, in my new book, I tell coaches scores before they happen. I tell coaches this opposition player will get injured before the game because you can see it. I won't tell you this one, but I saw something, in the last 12 months, 2 months before it happened. And the exact thing that I saw for this sporting coach, and I told him, and he told me what he would do, but logic took over. So what you got to understand is the subconscious mind has got a frequency. There's no frequency in logic with data. Data's just data. But most people look at the data and they go, well, this person can't train for this long, or they can only stay on the field for this long. But when I was working the year with in 18 with Trent, we had one game, which was the last game when everyone said that Melbourne already won the minor premiership, and I told everyone that, well, they win the double, and South would lose 3 out of the last 6, and everyone bagged me, and Paul Kent wrote a scathing story about me, but now we're friends. And I sort of look and I go, well, you can see the energy. It's like in my new book. If you want to know why the Melbourne coach, Bellamy, didn't win the grand final, it's in my book.
Okay. We've got to get this. We've got to get this book, Bradley. We've got to get this book. Where do we get it?
You can go onto expectowin.com.au. It's, pre-orders. But my new book will have things in there of stuff that I've done over the last 40 to 45 years. And the reason I have done no press, and the reason I've given my word to Adrian for the exclusive, is because I don't have to do the talking. He can just write the stories out of the book. And the other thing in media is you've got to trust people. Over 10 years, I've talked to many media people. I've watched everyone. And I look and I go, I'm just a normal guy, but I just think a bit different. Wouldn't it be better to tell the stories about how people can win so people can learn.
Yep.
And a lot of people just use me as clickbait. It's like that's why I've only done one TV interview in 10 years, and I've had every man, his dog, and his cat, and his freaking horse, and his chicken trying to call me to do interviews.
Bradley, can we ask you this?
And Brian, really?
Yes.
And the only reason I've come on here is because I know of you, and you're a surfer, and you're very good friends with some people that I'm very close to.
Right. But I am from Bondi, and the Bondi versus Maroubra sort of feud. You know how that goes on.
Well, it's funny. If you go back in the early 80s, when it used to be all the feuds between the beach, there was a guy called Matthew Clements, Dribbles from Bronte.
Yep.
Actually, Dribbles and I were the guys that partied, and everyone partied together, and we created that hate ship to be a friendship, because back then, if you went and surfed at Bondi, you get your car slashed or eggs and you get beat up. So between Dribbles and I, which Dribbles told everyone that we're stepbrothers from another mother, we created this piece that everyone enjoyed themselves.
I don't think Bradley's paying my left-hander enough, Brian, but that's fine. I feel
Bradley rips. Bradley rips.
I want to ask you, you said at the top, Bradley, you said that with Coach X, you got 25% of your program, 35%, but you've never been allowed to do your whole program. Why?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you the question. Why do you think I'm not allowed to do it? It's like I had a vision.
Is it the control of the coaches?
I had a vision first to start off for 3 in a row with the Roosters.
Yep.
In my book, if you work it out, you'll see why we didn't win 3. I believe Trent Robinson will be one of the greatest coaches in the NRL history. But I still look at, Clint Eastwood, Wayne Bennett, that's Wayne Bennett.
Mm.
He plays, he's a very smart man. In my book, when he reads it, there's some 1% in there that he can learn from. And then when you've got, like, if you look at the first 2 games in the pre-season, after the Broncos won the grand final after they won the 2 games, I asked you this question. How many staff or players had a drink after that game? If the answer is more than 0, that's a 1% that they lost with their energy against the Roosters. Do I think if they didn't drink, they still would have beat the Roosters? No. The Roosters completely dominated them. And if you look at the way the Roosters played Broncos, the Roosters have just given everyone in the competition how to actually play them.
Bradley, we've got to go, and thank you very much for your time. But last time we had you on here, Big Ange, over there in England, you said he was going to win a title, and I tell you what, they're sitting 4th, so they're a chance. So Big Ange Postecoglou.
Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, well, it's funny because if it's meant to be by the universe, I could be working with. We won the Scottish Premier League and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. He's a brilliant coach. There's a couple of 1% there that I could give him, but it could end up being that I'm actually with a team that I'll beat Ange. But anyway, that's another story.
Hang on.
Whoa, hang on. Exclusive here.
Come later.
So you might be working in the English Premier League. Is that what you're saying?
Did I just say that?
You said that out loud.
I didn't say that, did I?
Expect to win and expect to hear.
Expect to win and expect to get paid and expect to get these books.
How top of the pops we talking?
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing about it is the only visions I've had in sport really is to win everything with an EPL club.
Oh.
And win a Super Bowl.
Well, there you go.
Oh, okay. So
because the thing is, in Australia, people don't give me the respect for what I do. So
we've got to go. We've got to go.
The music's going to get us.
Feel free to tell us the name of who you'll be working with.
No,
come on.
You can't do it yet.
I didn't. Did I say that?
You didn't say the name.
Thank
you, Bradley.
What a tease.
We've got to go. Thank you, brother.